Watch this. I spray it on, step back, and let it sit for 20 minutes. No brush, no wire tool, no elbow grease. When I wipe it clean, the black doesn't just fade, it lifts out. You've been told to scrub kitchen grout until your hands cramp. You've been told chlorine bleach fixes it. Both are wrong. The black isn't sitting on the surface, it's trapped inside. And once you understand exactly how it gets there, you never have to scrub it again. Let's name the problem before we fix it. Kitchen grout turns black faster than bathroom grout. People notice it around the stove first, then the sink backsplash, then the entire wall line. They buy spray bottles with heavy fragrances and thick blue or green liquids. They buy stiff grout brushes. They get down on their knees and scrape. The grout looks cleaner for 2 days. Then the black returns, usually darker, sometimes streaked, sometimes with a white chalky residue that ruins the tile edge. The physical toll is real. Knees ache, wrists lock up, shoulders tighten, and the cost adds up. You replace brushes, you buy stronger chemicals, you waste hours on a surface that refuses to stay clean. Here's what most people miss. The kitchen is not a static environment. It breathes, it sweats, it cooks off aerosolized fats every time the burner runs. Steam rises, heat expands, cool air contracts, grout absorbs. Over months, that absorption compounds. You're not fighting dirt, you're fighting a slow, layered buildup that has chemically bonded to a porous matrix. Scrubbing only polishes the top layer. It does not reach the source. That's why the black keeps coming back. That's why bleach smells sharp but leaves the problem intact. You're treating a symptom while the cause sits quietly in the pores, waiting for the next cooking cycle to pull more material down. The real reason kitchen grout turns black comes down to 3 things working together: porosity, heat-driven capillary action, and oxidized cooking residues. Grout is cement-based. Even modern polymer-modified grout contains microscopic voids. Those voids are necessary for the material to cure properly. They also act like tiny straws. When you run the stove, microscopic droplets of oil, fat, and food vapor hang in the air. They don't fall straight down. They drift. They land on the tile. They land on the grout line. Heat from cooking makes those droplets thinner. Heat makes them move faster. When they touch cool grout, they wick inward. Capillary action pulls them deeper than surface wiping can reach. Dust from the kitchen mixes with those oils. Fine carbon particles from gas flames or even electric coil heating settle into the same channels. Over weeks, those layers compact. They lose water. They oxidize. Oxidized cooking oil turns dark. It hardens. It binds to cement dust and silica. The result is a matte black film that is chemically stable. It does not dissolve with soap. It does not lift with water pressure. It sits in the pore network like resin in wood. Then comes the biofilm factor. Kitchens are wet zones. Splashes happen. Sponges sit damp. Air carries skin cells and starch particles. Bacteria colonize the surface. They produce extracellular polymeric substances. That's a fancy way of saying they build a sticky matrix. That matrix traps more grease and dust. It anchors the black material deeper. Mold spores may join later, but the black you see early on is rarely mold. Mold grows fuzzy. It spreads in patches. It responds to humidity shifts. Kitchen grout black is usually uniform along the heat path. It follows the stove. It climbs the backsplash. It darkens where steam condenses and evaporates repeatedly. Now, why does bleach fail? Bleach is sodium hypochlorite. It oxidizes organic material on contact. It breaks surface bonds. It kills living cells. It also attacks the cement matrix if used repeatedly. It leaves the pores wider. It strips away the few remaining surface minerals that could hold a sealant. It creates a chalky, weakened layer that actually attracts more dirt. People see the white flash, think it worked, and move on. 2 weeks later, the same oils wick into those freshly opened pores. The black returns faster, the grout ages quicker. You're treating short-term brightness for long-term degradation. My grandfather worked commercial kitchens in the 60s. My father ran hospital maintenance in the 80s. They both taught me the same rule. Read the surface before you touch it. Grout tells you what happened. If it's black along the stove line, it's heat-driven oil oxidation. If it's green or fuzzy near the sink, it's moisture and organic growth. If it's cracked and crumbling, the cement structure failed and needs replacement, not cleaning. Once you match the cause to the material, you stop guessing. You stop wasting product. You apply chemistry that actually breaks the bonds holding the black in place. The solution does not require a brush. It requires the right oxidizer, the right surfactant, controlled dwell time, and a method that lets the chemistry work instead of your hands. I've used this on residential kitchens, rental turnovers, and commercial prep areas. It works on cement-based grout. It does not work on epoxy grout. Epoxy is non-porous and requires a different approach. If your grout shines like plastic when wet, it's likely epoxy or heavily sealed. Skip ahead to the maintenance note at the end. Here's what you need: a clean spray bottle with a trigger, 3% hydrogen peroxide from the pharmacy works, 6% is better for heavy buildup, sodium percarbonate, sold as oxygen bleach or laundry booster, unscented dish soap, warm water, microfiber cloths, plastic wrap or a damp cotton cloth, rubber gloves, safety glasses, a small fan or open window. That's it. No vinegar, no ammonia, no baking soda paste, no commercial grout cleaners with unknown surfactant blends. Keep it controlled. The mix is simple. Fill the spray bottle halfway with warm water, add 1 cup of 3% hydrogen peroxide, or half a cup if you're using 6%, add 2 tablespoons of sodium percarbonate, swirl until it dissolves. It will fizz lightly. That fizz is oxygen releasing. It means the active compound is breaking down into hydrogen peroxide and sodium carbonate. Add 1 teaspoon of unscented dish soap. Cap the bottle. Invert it twice. Do not shake hard. You want bubbles, not foam pressure that will clog the nozzle. Why these ingredients? Hydrogen peroxide is a mild oxidizer. It breaks carbon chains in oxidized oils. It does not bleach color out of cement like chlorine. It lifts organic buildup by turning it into water-soluble compounds. Sodium percarbonate extends the oxidation window. It releases oxidants slowly over time. That slow release matters. Fast oxidation burns the surface. Slow oxidation penetrates. Dish soap is a surfactant. It lowers surface tension. It wraps around loosened grease particles so they don't reattach to the grout when you wipe away. Warm water accelerates dissolution and improves penetration without damaging the tile or adhesive. Prep the area. Clear the counter, remove any loose items near the backsplash, wipe down the tile surface with a damp cloth to remove loose dust. Do not use a degreaser yet. You want the peroxide mix to reach the grout line without competing with heavy surfactants that could block penetration. Test a 1-inch section in a low visibility corner. Spray lightly, wait 10 minutes, wipe, check for color shift or surface damage. Cement grout tolerates peroxide well. Old, crumbling grout may show minor pitting. If it looks unstable, stop and plan for grout repair before cleaning. Application is straightforward. Hold the bottle 6 to 8 inches from the wall, spray along the grout line until it's evenly damp. Do not flood it. You want saturation, not runoff. If liquid pools on the tile, wipe it back toward the grout with the microfiber edge. Once the line is wet, cover it. Lay plastic wrap over the sprayed section or press a damp cotton cloth against it. The cover traps moisture. It slows evaporation. Evaporation pulls liquid to the surface and leaves the deeper pores dry. Trapped moisture keeps the oxidizer in contact with the embedded material. Dwell time is 20 minutes for light staining, 30 to 40 minutes for heavy, years-old black. Set a timer. Do not guess. While it dwells, step back. This is where people fail. They peak after 5 minutes. They wipe early. They think nothing happened because the black hasn't vanished yet. The chemistry is working underground. Oxidation breaks bonds. Surfactant lifts. The cover holds it in place. If you rush, you leave half the job in the pores. When the timer hits, remove the cover. Spray a light mist of warm water if the surface looks dry. Take a clean microfiber cloth, fold it, press it against the grout, drag slowly. You will feel resistance drop. The black transfers to the cloth. You do not need to rub, you need to lift. Wipe in one direction, flip the cloth, repeat. Rinse the cloth in warm water when it loads. Do not reuse a dirty section. After the first pass, check the line. If dark spots remain, do not scrub. Spray a second light coat. Cover again. Wait 15 minutes. Wipe. 2 passes are usually enough for kitchen backsplashes. Floors near the stove may need 3. The difference is exposure time and traffic. Kitchen walls see steam and airborne oil. Floors see dropped food and shoe transfer. Adjust dwell time accordingly. Safety matters. Wear gloves. Peroxide and oxygen bleach are mild but can irritate skin with repeated contact. Open a window or run a fan. The reaction releases oxygen and a faint metallic smell. It is not toxic, it is not chlorine gas. Never mix this with vinegar. Acid and peroxide create peracetic acid, which is corrosive. Never mix with ammonia or chlorine bleach. Fume generation is real and dangerous. Keep the mix away from wooden cabinets. Peroxide can lighten unfinished wood over time. Wipe any overspray immediately. Drying is the final step. After wiping, run a dry microfiber along the line to remove residual moisture. Let it air dry completely before cooking. Heat on wet grout pushes remaining solution deeper and can cause clouding on certain tiles. If your kitchen tile is natural stone like marble or limestone, test carefully. Cement grout handles this fine. Stone edges may etch if peroxide sits too long. Limit dwell to 10 minutes on stone surrounds. Wipe promptly. Troubleshooting comes down to 3 scenarios. First, the grout stays gray instead of white. That means the original mix was light. Cement grout dries to off-white, not bright white. If it looks clean, uniform, and holds no black transfer on a fresh cloth, it's done. Chasing pure white usually means over-oxidizing, which weakens the surface. Second, black returns in 3 days. That means you missed the source. Check the stove vent. Clean the filter. Check the range hood airflow. If grease aerosol keeps dumping on the wall, no cleaner will hold. Reduce the input, fix ventilation, then clean again. Third, the grout crumbles when you wipe. That's structural failure. The cement matrix has degraded from age, repeated bleach use, or freeze-thaw cycles if the kitchen borders an unheated space. Stop cleaning. Remove loose material. Regrout or hire a professional. Cleaning cannot fix broken structure. Maintenance keeps the job from repeating. Once the grout is clean, let it cure dry for 48 hours. Apply a penetrating grout sealer if the surface is unsealed. Look for water-based silane or siloxane sealers. They soak in, they do not sit on top like glossy coatings. Spray a thin line, let it absorb. Wipe excess from the tile. Wait 24 hours. Test with a water drop. If it beads, the sealer took. If it soaks, apply a second coat. Seal once a year. Clean weekly with warm water and a drop of dish soap. Spray, wipe, done. Avoid heavy degreasers on grout. They strip sealer. Avoid vinegar. Acid eats cement over time. Stick to neutral pH for routine care. Here's a janitor detail that saves time. Work in 3-foot sections. Kitchen walls break down into manageable spans. Spray, cover, move to the next span. When the timer hits the first section, return. Wipe. Repeat. You never stand idle. You never rush chemistry. You move in a rhythm. Cover placement matters. Press the plastic or cloth firmly against the grout line. Gaps let air in. Air speeds evaporation. Evaporation shortens dwell. Short dwell leaves the black anchored. If plastic wrap slides, use painter's tape on the tile edges only. Do not tape over grout. Tape residue on grout pulls dust later and creates new stains. Cloth choice affects results. Microfiber works because the split fibers trap lifted particles. Cotton rags push them around. Paper towels disintegrate and leave lint in the pores. Keep 4 cloths on hand. 1 for wet wiping, 1 for dry finishing, 2 backups. Rotate them. Wash after use in warm water with mild detergent. Do not use fabric softener. Softener coats fibers and blocks absorption next time. Water quality plays a role in some homes. Hard water leaves calcium deposits that look like white haze. If your grout shows white film after cleaning, it's mineral residue, not cleaner failure. Wipe with a damp cloth. If it persists, use a diluted citric acid solution on the tile only, not the grout. Keep acid away from cement lines. Rinse thoroughly. Dry. The black removal stands. The white film is separate. Treat it separately. Ventilation during cooking reduces the problem long term. Run the hood fan before you heat the pan. Keep it running until 10 minutes after you turn off the burner. Wipe the backsplash after heavy frying. A quick pass with a damp cloth removes fresh oil before it oxidizes. Prevention beats restoration. You already know that. You just needed the right restoration method when prevention slipped. If this method worked for you, subscribe to Kitchen Shine Master. I post direct, tested routines that save time and stop you from wasting product. Comment your biggest cleaning problem below. I read every note and plan videos around what you actually deal with. If you want to tackle greasy range hood filters without soaking overnight, watch the video on the screen. It covers the same chemistry principles adjusted for metal surfaces. Stay practical, clean smart. I'll see you in the next one.